Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy PT, man. And as promised, I said I'm gonna do a podcast. One, just I'm getting back into the podcast. I kind of had to lay it down a little bit when I started writing this book. So I had to lock it on the book and write the book. And then I said I was gonna do my next podcast was gonna be just kind of talking about the book. So if you didn't go out there and buy it yet, which I thank you to everyone who went out there and bought it. Man, thank you for that, for the support. But if you haven't, or if you just need a little bit more about the book before you go get it, that's what we're going to talk about today, right? I'm going to get into the book a little bit. The book is called Leadership is Not Enough. And the reason I came up with this concept is because my time in the workplace, I realized that we got to this shift. And the shift focuses on no matter what went wrong, it was always leadership's issue. Right. So if I know people who will come to work and wouldn't do their work and you're like, wow, and they're like leadership, they didn't leadership. Everything became every problem and all the solutions themselves laid at the feet of people who are considered the leaders. And that's not how that works in organizations. I've been around long enough in plenty organizations. And I know people are like, PT, was in the Air Force. Yes, but I've moved around to 9 different organizations in my 21 years in the Air Force. And every organization is different. And that's not even counting deploying somewhere else or when I deployed under a different branch of service, right? Everything is different. Everywhere you go, the culture is different. The people are different, right? It's a different dynamic, but the problems seem to always be the same. Right. So everyone blamed leadership. Accountability always seems to be a problem. The culture sucks for some people or whatever the case, right? Like everyone constantly, like y'all, you go to work. Y'all go to work. Y'all hear the same things that I hear every day. So I wanted to create a book because as a person who was in leadership, there was times where people will blame me and it's like, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are supposed to figure that out. And this is why we have you in these positions. And I know that there are always places, and this is why this book breaks down. If you look at the triangle, it breaks down the leadership, the management, and then the followership. The 3 pieces of an organization that needs to be aligned in order to get high operational performance. And I'll break some of this down real quick. I'm not going to give the whole book away. It's only $15, man. Go out there, get it, read it, support your boy. But when it comes to leadership, like I'm the visionary. And I'm going to put this in right? I don't want to call anyone out and I don't know everyone's organizations or whatever, but I'm going to use me in every element of the 3 phases of the organization. So when I'm a leader, I have the vision. Right? I'm the visionary. I see what needs to be done. I see how I want it. I vision it. I see the culture that I want. I understand where I want to go and kind of maybe a pathway of how I want to get there. Now, what I need is people to make my dream come to life, right? Think of it as Steve Jobs, right? Steve Jobs had the vision. He wasn't in there building computers. Right? He was able to market it. He was able to sell it. He was able to talk about it. He was able to paint the picture of the future and where this needs to go and how we're going to get there. That is what you are as a leader. You need to walk into your organizations and you need to paint that picture. You need to let them know where the goal is. And it can't just be profit. So if you're working in industries where profit is a goal, that can't be the goal, right? The money is great, but you get this profit, and how does that trickle back down to the team? How does that make my life easier all the way down in the followership rank? That's the picture you have to paint. If you work in an organization that's based around mission, well, man, that's self-evident, right? In the military, look, we want to make sure that we are the best military in the world. We want to protect our country, and we want to show that we are the best in the world. And everything that we did had to align to that mission. And they did, right? Every speech was about that. And that's where that, so when I come to work, I'm not coming to work because I'm like, man, I just sit here and I cook eggs every day. I'm coming here because I understand that by me cooking eggs and having a place for the soldiers to come and get nourishment as they go and do their jobs, man, I'm setting them up for breakfast to have the energy to produce. That's then that their production will lead into hopefully being the best military people as we, if we're in conflict, we're ready to rock and roll. But you have to tie that in. And a lot of organizations are terrible about tying why you're here versus what you're doing. And because of that, what you get is a lot of burnt out. You get a lot of weird confusion. You don't know. People can ask you, what's the mission and the vision for your organization? And most people in the organization don't know what it is. Right? They're like, I guess we just come here to build widgets. Or like, no, it's deeper than building widgets. But that's on leadership to make sure that that story is being told. And leadership generally don't do a good job at that. So you need other people to do it. And the problem is the other people don't know what to say, right? You're the one with the vision. So PT will be the one with the vision. If I'm not relaying that to everyone else, if I'm not consistently pushing that narrative down, then the company don't know what it is. So in the book, I kind of touch on that element of what leadership is supposed to do. Now, with management is different, right? So as a leader, I'm going to hire the managers. Now, before I get into the management element of things, who you hire is important, right? They can't just be technically sound or just have a background in whatever it is that you are trying to build. They need to also be able to fit your culture. So if you have a loose culture and there's jokes and you're wearing jeans and little t-shirts, you're not really worried about the dress code, and then people are coming in there and they're a little tight with suits on or whatever, blouses or whatever the case, then they might be qualified for the job but might not fit the culture. So if you're looking for a certain culture, then you got to hire based off of the culture along with the skill set. But we don't always do that. Sometimes we just look at resumes and go, oh man, this person could fit. They're technically sound, and when you meet them, they're dry as a doorknob. And I don't know if doorknobs are dry. That's probably weird. Dry as the sand, right? And then you're wondering why no one likes them. You're wondering why they don't fit in. You wonder why they're disgruntled. You're wondering all these things, but they were great on their resume. Yes, but they were terrible in the interview. So as you're hiring and you're moving to the management of this place, not only do they need to be technically sound on this, but they need to be personable. Because people don't leave jobs. People leave people. Right? I never left the build. I never quit a place or left a place and said, man, that building really sucks. But the people was great. Like if the people were if the building was just better, maybe I'd have stayed around, right? No, we don't do that. It's the people in that organization that makes it terrible. And it generally starts with management. It's not really even leadership because if you're in that follower space, your direct contact is your manager. So the manager and the leader needs to be aligned. The manager has to put accountability measures in place. They need to put guardrails in place. If this happens, this happens. They need to put a workflow together on how we're going to communicate and get the work done, right? They have to have a work plan. They need to understand the individuals that they're managing, right? It's more than just timesheets, and it's more than just saying you're late for work, right? You have to know your individuals. You are the one who walks around and understand that the young lady, Barbara, has a father who is sick, right? And he's been sick for a while. Barbara's going to need some time off. And then you need to work with Barbara to help Barbara without trying to screw Barbara over by like, well, Barbara, you got leave. Or saying, well, Barbara, I get that your dad's sick, but, right? Anything after but, right? Doesn't matter what you said before but, right? So, and I've actually seen this. I've seen people who are so cold in management that the human element of them is not there, right? My daughter was just telling me about a young person that she works with who just lost a close friend and was late to a picnic and just found out like the night before that that person left. And instead of the manager saying like, man, I'm sorry for your loss, it was like, oh man, I wish you'd have called us before because we were expecting you at this time. Like, that's crazy to me. You know what I mean? Like, how are you in this management space when you can't humanize the people that are working with you? Right. So for me, when I was a manager, so now, since I retired, uh, and I dove into this agile situation, right? So I'm an agile, don't want to say SME, but I'm an agile person. I work in agile. And what I do is agile allows me to have a methodology of how I operate my teams, right? So we're gonna have daily syncs so that everyone knows everyone's on the same picture. I'm not in them. I don't need to be in those daily syncs. I want the team to meet and realize that, hey, I'm building this thing, so I need you, Jeff, to before I can build it, Jeff, I need you. Are you tracking that me and you are on the same thing today? Jeff's like, yep, tracking, and then we can execute that thing. Or are you tracking that I need that? Oh no, I'm not tracking that. I wasn't told that, or I know I said I'd be done, but I'm relying on someone else and I didn't come through yet, right? Those conversations are happening every morning for about 15 minutes. And then we're going to promise things in small batches. So we're going to talk very like, hey, in 2 weeks, this is what we're going to accomplish. And then we're going to show that we accomplish those things in 2 weeks, right? And it doesn't always be, I got to display anything. It just depends on what organization I'm in. Sometimes it's just, hey, this is what we said we're going to get done and we got it done. I can measure that. I can hold my teams accountable to that. They have a force and function where we share communication. They know when they're going to talk to me. I know when I'm going to talk to them. They know what information I want. I know what information I'm giving. I know when they're on leave. I know when they're coming back from leave, right? But I let them do their work. I hired them to be smart. I'm not tracking them in a sense. The only way I really know what's going on with them as far as work or behind work is someone has to tell me or the work isn't getting done. And then I hold them accountable because they are the SMEs. I hired them because of their technical skills. So why am I in their way, right? Managers, get out of the way, right? Make sure those timesheets are right. Make sure their leave is right. Make sure you're there to coach them and make sure you can help develop them to be better. Make sure you motivate them, right? That's what managers need to do once you put a system in place for things to move smoothly, right? And then lastly, it's the people in those followerships, right? I call it followership because when I came into the military, the first thing that was said, in order to be a great leader, you had to be a great follower. And these people here have no title. They're not supervisors or team leads. They're just doing the work, right? These are your workforce people. These are the ones that make that vision actually come to life that the leader had. Right? The manager is going to put all the things in place, right? We got the systems, we got the process, we got the accountability. But then these young people or these people, old people, whoever they are, they're going to make it come to life. And for that reason, you have to take care of them. This is the nucleus of how the work is going to get done. Now, they can't be like, well, we ain't doing it because of leadership. Management can't be like, well, we ain't doing it because of leadership, and leadership takes all the blame. That's how all of it was happening. But really, in the workforce environment, everyone is accountable for what you do. I hired you, I pay you because of your skill set. So we're going to pay you this money. We're going to be professional where everyone should be, and therefore we're going to get the work done. So if you're not getting the work done, if you're not getting the resources, okay, that's a management issue. If you're not getting the money, then that's a leadership issue. But sitting there complaining that, well, I gave this, like I've been doing this for 15 years. I told them this is how it should be done. They said no, so I'm not going to do it because they don't know what they're talking about. But you're down here in the followership space. That doesn't make any sense, right? You can speak your knowledge, you can say what you want, you can ask the questions, but if the answer is no, then you say copy that, here's the risk, and then you press on what they told you to do. If you don't like that, then I'm gonna tell you, right? Get promoted. Promote yourself. Do what it takes to get into the positions to make those decisions. But you can't want all like people being like no, you get no accountability, no responsibility, but you want everyone to follow you. And then as soon as it doesn't work, you're like, well, I mean, you're the one in charge. I don't know why you listen to me, right? And that's how you get to escape. Well, no, put your foot in the ocean and come to this level of management or come to this level of leadership and see what it really looks like, and then make those same calls. See if those same decisions work then, right? But across the board, everyone has to be professional. This isn't the workplace shouldn't be an overly emotional place, right? I was teaching a class, and one of the things that I said in class was, there is no reason for you to ever scream or yell at your employee. And the class literally, but I thought that was just common sense. And the class just like, huh? Their faces was like, what you mean? You can't yell at them? Well, man, I yell at them all the time. How are you yelling at a grown person at work when there's measurements to hold them accountable if they do it wrong? It shouldn't be that emotional, right? So let's give an example. You say you're going to, and don't get me wrong, there's certain career fields where the urgency might force you to elevate the voice, but it's not yelling, it's an urgency loudness. What does that mean? Okay, when I'm in the military, some of the protocols, there's a timeliness to the protocol that we got to figure some things out, right? And that time is short. It's not as long. It's a short thing. So if I need an answer and someone's holding on to the answer and I'm not getting it and my time is ticking, then yes, I'm like, hey, Bob, I need the answer. I need the answer now. Because if not, there's a consequence to not getting that answer, right? That could put us all in some level of accountability, jail, or whatever the case. So in those situations, absolutely. But most people don't work in that type of environment. So are you yelling at somebody because they were late on the Amazon package? Are you yelling at them because the fries wasn't hot? Or you yelling at them because they didn't get that paper to you on time? No. Why did you not get this paper to me? You don't need to elevate your voice to speak directly to someone. And if you don't know how to do that, then maybe that's not the position for you if you're in that position to hold people accountable. Or you need to go get trained up on that. But you see these things in organizations all the time, right? And when you have these things and they're lapsed and there is no workflow, there is no forced communication, the followers don't understand what the leader's vision is, the management don't agree with the leadership because I've been here longer than they have, right? And then the communication doesn't flow, then you have no organizational performance. They're not performing. They're just doing, right? They're just doing. And when you're just doing, yeah, you're getting it done, but it's not efficient and it's not effective. And then when you're just doing, now the next thing is, well, I don't know why I'm not getting promoted. Well, you're not a team player. Would you promote a non-team player? Right? That makes no sense. And you're like, but I sat here and I come and I do my work. Yes, all you do is the work. And you're more of a headache than you are actually solving solutions. Right? So the book gets into all of that. And then the first 5 chapters is really talking about this framework, the triangle, the performance triangle. And it talks about the importance of it. And then the last 5 chapters kind of get into how at each level, in each section, you should be operating. Right now, we're getting into the self-development of people in these spaces. And that's kind of what the book is all about. And it shows you how professionalism is the glue that holds all of this together. So when I've been in the best organizations, right, they were the best because we were all aligned. right? Me at the bottom knew what was expected. Management knew what was expected. Leadership passed the expectations. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's all like everyone's high fiving and we're just drinking Mai Tais and roses are falling from the sky. Yes, there's always going to be some level of conflicts there. There's always going to be some level of maybe we need a little bit more clarity. But there's a way to get and go through those processes when they come when you're aligned, right? There's an HR for a reason. There's conflict management classes for reasons. There's leadership development courses for reasons. And people take these courses and they go to these places and they just don't really come back and with any new learned lesson because what they do, they're emotional. So their emotions take over. And once your emotions take over because you can't control them, then the work environment becomes crazy because it's no more about strategic or logic, it's emotion. I don't like the way the manager said this. So instead of going to talk to the manager, I'm just going to sit here for the next 5 years and complain about how bad they are. Right? And then this is crazy because I've seen this. You complain so much. We told everyone things suck. Like, right? The building sucks. Everyone sucks. Leadership sucks. So then the leaders come out and say, fine, this is what we're going to do. We want to change the culture. So we're going to implement certain elements. So we're going to start with like a group. Let's do a organization picnic. And people will literally not come to the picnic. Well, I ain't going to the picnic. They think having the picnic is going to make things better. It's a start, right? And if you are one of the people complaining about the culture there, then you got to be one of the people that help change the culture. And when people are trying, you need to support the try. You can't just sit there and keep complaining because now you're the problem. It's no longer leadership's problem. It's no longer management problem. It's no longer the people at the bottom's problem. It's your problem, right? So the book dives into some of that, but each organization is different. So the book will touch on some of that. But if you have an organization and y'all are not aligned and y'all are having certain issues with that, well, now you come and you hire someone like myself, right? My consulting firm, my company, we come in and this is what we do, right? We put companies back in line. We give them workflows. We give them communication concepts. We give them leadership visions. We give them how to get it from the top to the bottom, right? Like I told someone today this. I said, if the leader is saying Mary had a little lamb, then the person at the bottom should say, and the lamb was as white as snow, right? That message should go all the way down. Everyone should know what that means. If I go to a manager and say, Mary had a little lamb, you should be like, the lamb was white as snow, right? Like we should know because we are aligned with how that goes. Now, if the leader says Mary had a little lamb and the manager goes, but monkeys are green. Well, guess what? You're not aligned. You don't know what the next, you don't know what the next phrase of the thing is, right? And that's how organizations work. If I come in there and say, hey, what's the vision of your organization? Most of the people there say, I don't know. You ask the leader, they're like, yeah, we talk about it every time at our corporate meetings. Well, how often are those? Every quarter. So is everyone in there? Well, no, just these are managers and the stakeholders. Okay, so these people aren't hearing it. Well, the managers should be pushing it down. Correctly, I agree. I don't disagree, but they're not. So now how are you holding them accountable for your workforce not understanding? Because when they don't understand, workforce leaves. Good people leave organizations all the time, and it was easy to keep them. It was easy to keep them, and you just didn't. Because good workers will always have opportunities. That's all I got for today. Definitely wanted to get in there. Once again, if you haven't, take a look at the book. It is a book for everyone. It's a great book, I believe, for emerging leaders or youth or young adults coming out of high school or in college ready to start hitting this workforce. Because we get into the professionalism, right? And part of that is attitude. And a lot of people come out with a certain attitude that doesn't fit workforce. So, and then that becomes an instant issue when you come into the workforce with an attitude that the workforce is not going to tolerate, right? So the book, it is definitely pick it up if you haven't. It's on Amazon. I'll throw the link in the description, of course. And then if you're looking, if your organization is having some issues or you think they're having some issues, reach out to me. I have an assessment. I have a pre-assessment, but then we have a deep dive assessment. So the pre-assessment will kind of give you a heads up of what we're thinking, but then the deeper diagnostics that we have breaks down your entire organization, the three areas, and then from there we will produce you our results based off of the analysis, and then we could develop a plan to work with your organization to get it to where it is. This is what we do. This is what I do. Right? I've been around forever. I've been in this space for probably over 30 years now. So I've seen it. I've learned it. I have the education for it. Uh, and now I want to do podcasts, right? Now I want to sit here and share nuggets for free, right? These are going to be free nuggets. They're going to be, you'll start seeing, um, real talk. The real leadership minute is what I think I'm going to call it. I haven't figured out the name yet, but I'm gonna throw out short hitters, just to keep my leaders, my managers, and my people in the followership space or workforce space, however you want to call it, space, in engaging your own career, because this is more important than just working. This is how you feed your family. This is how, when you retire, you have money saved away. This is the whole point of working, isn't just to work, right? The whole point of working is so that you could take, you're trading your skill sets for income to take care of a family. That's it. So when you bring all the other stuff in here into this work environment, you're jeopardizing everything that you can. When you sit there and say, "Man, I don't want to get promoted," so you don't want more income for your family. You're good where they are. You're 35. How you don't want to, like these are the things that I coach on. These are the things that I like to talk about. These are the things to try to get people to just live the best life that they can. And since we spend so many hours at work, we need to get that right. That's all I got for you today. Be on the lookout for those real leadership minute posts. If you've got any questions, put them in the link, put them in the questions, or send me an email. The email's in the link as well. That's all I got for you today. God bless and take care.